Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into how the groundwork for the most destructive war in history didn't start out on some sprawling battlefield with massive, clashing armies. No, it started with something as seemingly harmless as a bowl of pudding, all fueled by a deeply toxic family rivalry. So, let's break down the exact anatomy of this royal assassination attempt step by step.
Think about it. How exactly do you take down a nearly invincible, absolute powerhouse of a young prince? Well, as we'll see, this wasn't just a childhood squabble that got out of hand. These kids were never operating in a vacuum. The adults around them were actively pulling the strings, basically shaping a deadly battlefield right out of their own personal insecurities.
Which brings us to part 1, the toxic palace politics and sabotaging the next generation.
To really get this plot, we have to look at the environment that made it possible. King Dhritarashtra actively did not want his nephews, the Pandavas, studying in peace. And hey, when you're the king, you don't even have to order the teacher to fail them, you just get rid of the teacher. Using a completely minor, unrelated excuse about his charioteer stepping down, the king pulled the family sage entirely away from the school before studies even began. By doing this, he deliberately denied these young princes a fair and conducive atmosphere to learn.
That actually leads perfectly into part 2, the charioteer's heavy burden, duty, destiny, and society.
So the king's whole excuse relied on his royal charioteer resigning. And this gives us a fascinating little subplot about what serving the crown actually meant back then. When the new charioteer is appointed, his duties are laid out crystal clear: a willingness to die, speaking truth without fear, protecting the king from heat and dust, and valuing the master's honor above his own life. The loyalty demanded was absolute, no questions asked.
But, not everyone was on board with this super rigid hierarchy. You've got the former charioteer telling his son Radeya that they just have to bear the burden of their birth. But Radeya completely rejects this. He demands to train in weaponry, which was a right strictly reserved only for warriors. And this clash between a father's total submission to the system and a son's fierce ambition to break it perfectly mirrors the chaos that's brewing right at the top of the royal family.
All right, part 3, Shakuni's masterclass in deceit and the strategy of the mastermind. Enter Uncle Shakuni, the actual mastermind behind it all. He fully realizes that brute force is not going to win his nephew, Duryodhan, the throne. The 5 rival brothers are united, right, like a fist. And to break a fist, Shakuni points out, you don't just punch a brick wall head on. You have to cut the 5 fingers off one by one with a sweet tongue. He's basically teaching a masterclass in weaponized friendship here.
Shakuni actually walks Duryodhan through a calculated competitive analysis. Just look at this breakdown. Yudhishthir's got the brains, Bhim has the brawn, Arjun is deeply loved by everyone, and the twins are perfectly calm. The rivals literally have every natural advantage except for one thing. They lack the strength of plotting, they're trusting, they're naive, and that is the exact vulnerability Shakuni decides to target.
Let's move to part 4, the poisoned pudding trap and executing the deception.
So, Duryodhan targets the strongest brother, Bhim, by exploiting his most innocent weakness. The guy has a massive appetite. It starts with an everyday grievance. Bhim is hungry and super frustrated because his brother ate his pudding. Applying that sweet tongue strategy we just talked about, Duryodhan offers some fake sympathy and lures him away to a private, poisoned stash of food. Bhim eats to his heart's content, passes out cold, and is unceremoniously dumped into the river. It's wild. A child's simple desire for a sweet treat gets completely twisted into a ruthless assassination.
Now for my favorite part, part 5, the Snake Kingdom's elixir, a miraculous twist of fate.
Because destiny throws a massive curveball here. As Bhim's unconscious body sinks deeper and deeper into the river, he literally crashes into the border checkpost of the subterranean Snake Kingdom. The snake soldiers think he's a hostile spy, so they relentlessly bite him. But in this incredibly ironic twist of fate, the venom from these defensive bites actually acts as the perfect antidote to the poison he ate. The very thing meant to finish him off is exactly what wakes him up.
Wide awake, Bhim fights off the guards and is brought right to the Snake King, who, in a staggering coincidence, turns out to be his great-grandfather. Overjoyed to see his descendant, the king blesses Bhim with a magical elixir. And guys, this isn't your everyday energy drink. Just one single bowl of this stuff grants a human the physical strength of 10 elephants.
But come on, this is Bhim we're talking about. He doesn't just stop at one bowl. He downed 7 of them.
So the deadly trap that was designed to permanently eliminate him didn't just fail, it actively leveled him up. He returns to the surface with the unstoppable strength of 70 elephants, making him exponentially more dangerous to the very people who just tried to murder him.
Finally, Part 6, The Price of Silence and Preserving the Family Optics. So Bhim heads home, absolutely bursting with this new strength and furious, ready to just crush Duryodhan for the betrayal. But this is the exact moment their childhood innocence officially dies. His eldest brother, Yudhishthir, steps in and delivers this really chilling command. Keep quiet. This is our family matter. He actively chooses to prioritize the optics and outward stability of the royal family over achieving justice for an attempted murder.
Look, by sweeping the truth under the rug, Yudhishthir actually secures some highly strategic short-term wins. It prevents an immediate bloody retaliation, it honors their guru's teachings of restraint, protects the elders from grief, and ensures the public doesn't start gossiping about a fractured kingdom. Honestly, it's the ultimate political PR move. But make no mistake, all of this comes at a massive psychological cost to Bhim, who is essentially forced to swallow his trauma and smile right at his attempted murderer.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about this. Yudhishthir genuinely believed he was being a responsible leader by keeping the peace. But when you cover up a violent betrayal just to protect the family optics, are you actually securing peace? Or are you simply guaranteeing that all that resentment will fester, grow, and eventually explode into a much deadlier war down the road? Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.